And before I go into that, let me just say this. While on my way here, I tuned in and was listening to the Not So Nice program. And I want to say to Dr. Claudius Davis from New York, who came down and gave of his time during the Rockcutter crisis and disaster. He is the main topic of discussion tonight on their radio program, and I will naturally review that tomorrow and get all the things that were said about it. I want to first of all thank Dr. Claudius Davis for volunteering his time, free of cost, coming down here and spending a weekend with the parents and other children, the patients at the hospital who were hospitalized following the accident at Rockcutter. I'll say more about Dr. Claudius and his visit as we go along. But here is Dr. Claudius Davis volunteering his time coming down. He says, I met him at the airport. I picked him up at the airport. Said he was coming down. I said, sir, I shall personally pick you up at the airport. He got his own vehicle to drive. He didn't leave the airport with me. I didn't see him again. That was our first and last encounter. We spoke there. He knew where he's going. He got the vehicle. He jumped in his vehicle. He went his way. I did not have another interaction with Dr. Claudius Davis. He left on Tuesday. He sent some stuff. He left some stuff in the car. I went, sent for the car, picked up the stuff. Some stuff that he had brought for some people. And some other medical supplies that he had left back that he asked me to give to certain people. Other than that, we had absolutely no interaction. The media found it necessary to, well, they had mentioned Dr. Claudius Davis before. The media found it necessary, based on, his active work here. And they interviewed him, and the man spoke from the bottom of his heart. But that again has pushed swords into their souls and hearts. And they are pounding this honorable man, very decent, upright. In fact, when Dr. Davis left here, when I went on his webpage and looked at the guy left here, and first of all, he became a priest. Well, not a priest, but he studied theology. That was his first calling. And then he ventured out into psychology, in which he got his PhD. A very outstanding man who carries a very good practice. So that when you take a simple, when I say simple in the form of a guy who is not politically involved, he listens, and he said, when you look at his webpage, he had a program on cross country. I don't know what the name of the program was. But he's a guy who apparently spent time listening to the politics, and naturally, in the environment in which he lived, was listening a lot to nice radio. But he comes down here and he sees a completely different scenario than what he's done. So the guy opens up his heart and spoke very frankly and openly about the situation, and that has got them so annoyed that he has become their main target, as if he is a candidate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They don't caution, they don't jump on all those who are in the war room and those who are in the movement. That suits their purpose. But the minute an individual says anything favorable about the Unity Labour Party and the ULP government and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I don't understand how you have a bunch of fellas who want to take over management of this country, who want to become the government of this country, where everything that is said about St. Vincent and the Grenadines has to be a negative. Their whole conversation, everything is negative. The Minister of Tourism reads out 10, 12 complimentary articles on St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they object to them, they criticize them, but yet they turn around and use the same newspapers and read certain things that suit themselves, that suit them. So that Dr. Davis, and I want to thank him again from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and more so, the families of Fancy who suffered in the rock gutter accident, and the time that he took to work with these people, free of cost. He's a guy with a PhD. His fees are normally expensive, high, but he came and volunteered and gave. At least say to the guy, all right, thank you very much for coming, and you did a good job here, and so on and whatnot. You don't lambaste the guy at every turn, because I've heard it numerous times over the last 2 weeks since he left, 2 or 3 weeks. And we really have to stop this sort of nonsense that is going on. But yet the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I love it so politically when they behave like that, because I know it turns off a lot of their supporters. It turns off a lot of their supporters. And I'm hoping that they continue this way, despite the fact it is bad for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They would come to the House of Parliament and criticize and speak down on the matter of the tourism and visitors to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Well, Dr. Claudius Davis said that he wasn't coming back to St. Vincent because of what he was hearing on radio. Since 2006, he didn't come back. But now that he has come back and seen the opposite of what is being said about St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the way the government is running this country, that he will be a frequent visitor here to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and may even set up practice in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, so that they don't care that what they say hurts the country, because it hurts from the point of view that people would listen to this sort of negative tripe and decide, listen, this is not a country I would want to visit. But let them continue to run it, so that they can't take their pecan. They don't want anybody to say anything good about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And they continue to say the nastiest, make the nastiest statements about individuals and people and the country. So that let them continue to behave in that way. And I know that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will reject